Hello, Region Weather family. It is meteorologist Matt Wintz here on this Wednesday evening. No, it's not Sunday evening, but it's Wednesday, and we're here doing a live, and we'll probably do one the next couple nights just to keep you up to date on this major winter storm that's going to impact a vast majority of the country. This thing is all over social media. You've probably seen it. I think the meteorologists, our feed on Facebook and on social pages are mainly just weather. I don't think everyone deals with that, but that's all I'm seeing are forecasts around this. Some of them overblown, some of them a little too soon to call, some of them are good. So we'll kind of sort that out for you. And I just want to kind of level set on all the weather we have coming our way over the next couple of days. I mean, we just got a lot of different things to focus on. And so my job is to take all the blah, 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 all the information that's out there. I'll break it down for you in simple terms. We'll talk about what we know, what we don't, and more importantly, what you need to prepare for, right? That's all that really matters, okay? We know that weather's coming our way and we've got a storm. We've got obviously some really cold air coming our way, but what are some things that we can do and when that we can remember so we don't have to have a huge checklist of weather around here, okay? So we'll dive into that. I do appreciate you guys spending some time with me here on this Wednesday evening. We'll say hi to our early birds. Let me get through our sponsors real quick. If you guys have any problems with your heating, call Earl's Heating and Air Conditioning. We don't really need the air conditioning part right now, but they're working on furnaces. If you need a tune-up or a new one, they're doing emergency services right now. They're doing a great job at it. It's earlsheating.com. Again, they've been serving Northwest Indiana since 1976. Halcyon Water Solutions, they provide the highest quality water treatment with exceptional service all across Northwest Indiana. They do water softening, filtration. If you need salt delivery, maintenance, they do all that as well. They've got all your water needs covered. 866-97-WATER to schedule your free in-home water analysis today. Romans Roofing, the place to go if you need a new roof. They also do windows, siding, gutters. It'd be nice to have that home locked in the rest of the winter. They'll take care of it for you, romansroofing.net, or you can call them at 219-838-9111. All inspections and estimates are completely free. Minogue.life, Mr. Michael Minogue has been serving the world of Northwest Indiana in terms of life insurance, Medicare, Medicaid. He knows all of his stuff. There are new laws that went into effect and changes that came into effect with your plans in 2026. You're not locked into those. You may have changed your plan, but you're not locked into it. You still have a kind of grace period to take care of that. If you have any questions around what plan you have, what benefits you have with it, or if you need to change, there's a right plan for you and a wrong plan, and you can tweak those based on your individual needs. Michael would love to sit down with you, no cost consultation. Minogue.life is the website there. Kate Cusack for Ruoff Mortgage, she is ready to get you into your dream home in 2026. If you're ready to do that, ready to make the leap into a starter home, dream home, whatever home it happens to be, she'll take care of that for you. She's our home loan girl there on Facebook. Financing rates have come down a little bit as well, so maybe you want to refinance. Not a bad option right now. Kate Cusack for Ruoff Mortgage. Again, reach out to her. She is on Facebook, Home Loan Girl, Kate Cusack Home Loan Girl, and you can send her a message or call her at 219-775-6645. FBIBuildings.com, that's the place to go if you need a new pole barn constructed. They do residential and commercial. They've done over 20,000 of them in the Midwest. They do amazing work. Reach out to them if you've got maybe a new commercial business or residential property you'd like to build a pole barn or even maybe renovate one. They do that as well. FBIBuildings.com. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. If you need a new four-wheel drive vehicle, they've got front-wheel drive as well, but they also have four-wheel drive Jeeps, and they are amazing. The new Wagoneer's out, looks great. Right there on US 30, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. TNT Tree Service, if you guys need any trees taken care of. I know we had some big windstorms last couple of weeks. They'll take care of that for you. 219-300-6256 or visit them at ttreeservice.com. They are experts in tree removal with a lot of experience, and they specialize in dangerous removals using moderate equipment. So if you got a tree you think's too tough for them, test them out. They do great work. TigerPlumbing.net, if you need any plumbers around Northwest Indiana, they're amazing. They've been serving us here as a sponsor for over 3 years. They're just wonderful. You can take a picture or video of the problem, send it to them. They'll come out for free. TigerPlumbing.net. And finally, last but not least, PSA, PublicServiceAdjusting.com. Those are our local licensed insured public service adjusters here in Northwest Indiana. If you have an insurance claim on your property, don't go to your insurance company first like you're taught. Go to PublicServiceAdjusting.com. They'll come out, they'll document everything, they'll package it up, send it to your insurance company, and they'll deal with that go-between. You don't want to have to do that. Again, PublicServiceAdjusting.com. All right, let's say hi to our early birds here this evening. We have, who's on? Oh, JP. Wow, hot on the trigger finger, buddy. Hello, you were first on board tonight. Appreciate you joining us, JP. Good to be with you. Shelly's with us as well. Cindy, hello to you. Honor's with us on our YouTube channel. Asking about Central Illinois getting 6 inches of snow. Maybe we'll take a look here. Rich is ready for the cold. Rich does not want the snow. Sharon's with us tonight. Debbie, thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. Appreciate that. John, you as well. Good to see you today. I appreciate you spending some time with us. Ruth, finally a big winter storm, and we're missing the good accumulation. That's true. The bulk of the storm is going to miss us. I'll show you here in a second. Melanie says, here we go again. Susan says, hello, Matt and everyone. And there's all that. Sherilyn, thanks to sponsors. We do too. They're wonderful. They're great to us. So make sure you're great to them if you need any of that. All right, let's dive into the broadcast. Here's what we've got right now. Our low pressure now starting to get sampled by weather balloons. All right, that's a big deal because when these storms are out of over the Pacific, there's not a lot of true observations. Most of it's on modeling. This thing is now just off the coast of Carolina. You can see this low pressure, or California, not Carolina, although it will be off the coast of Carolina later this week. Off of California, you see that swirl there. Meanwhile, out ahead of this, we've got Arctic air, which is coming in. A lot of times what happens is we'll have Arctic air that comes in the wintertime, right? But then a high pressure usually comes in and it'll warm up on the backside of that, and then the next system moves in. This one happens to be lining up pretty perfectly. I haven't seen it a lot in my career where we get a shot of some of the coldest air you can possibly get, but then at the same time, you're throwing moisture into it right away. So that air mass is mainly cold versus being a moderating air mass. And that's why this is going to be such a massive winter storm for so many folks. With a snowy side on the north side, we've got the ice in the middle, and then the rain and severe weather on the south side, likely along the Gulf Coast. It's just amazing that we're getting the Arctic air and then immediately throwing this moisture into it. And it is really the perfect storm in terms of producing the perfect winter storm around here. So here it is. We've got cold air coming in from Canada first. So I do want to quickly highlight what's going to happen tonight, tomorrow. I don't want to let our guard down on that. There's nothing major coming. However, we do have a frontal boundary, and this is called a short wave in the weather world. It's an area of energy that's swinging through. This has been producing some heavy bursts of snow. Boy, have we dealt with this with snow squall warnings over the last couple of weeks, right, around the Great Lakes. This is producing some heavy snow and bursts of it in areas of western and central Illinois right now, and I don't see an end to that. So I do expect us here as we go throughout the evening hours, probably in an hour, hour and a half or so, we'll see this cross the state line, and we'll be dealing with some snow squalls. They'll be very brief. They'll put down a quick coating, but that's problematic because the sun's down now and temperatures starting to come down as well. So we may have some slick travel late this evening into the overnight. This will be out of here by daybreak tomorrow, though. So any residual effects, we're not expecting a whole lot tomorrow as long as the roads get salted. I'll show you on the modeling. There it goes swinging through. I think the HRRR has a good read on it. You can see not everyone gets the squall, but there will be embedded squalls as that system moves through. And notice the wind shift behind it. Right now, wind out of the west. Watch how quickly this changes. Boom, now it's northwest by daybreak tomorrow. And that will keep our temps from getting above freezing tomorrow. We're likely going to hold in the 20s. So cold day tomorrow, but not bitterly cold. We'll be able to handle tomorrow. Tomorrow's not bad. It's just cold. It's January cold around here. All right. And then our next front comes in. We'll have lake effect going pretty good. This next front passes through mainly dry, so you're not really going to be able to tell that it's going through outside of a drop in temps. And we're expecting this to pass through sometime late tomorrow evening into tomorrow night. All right. And this is going to go through with a wind shift. You can see the difference here. See how there's not a lot of isobar action here tomorrow? So we'll have a fairly light wind throughout the day. Not a bad day outside of it being cooler. But then you see how there's a lot of isobar action off towards the north here as we go into the afternoon tomorrow. That's because there's a giant Arctic high. There's an Arctic front in between. But this giant Arctic high is just plowing its way. It's like big and heavy, and it's just plowing its way down through the U.S. And as a result, that wind is really going to pick up in a hurry once that Arctic front hits. So here it goes. This model, the HRRR model, saying tomorrow evening into tomorrow night. So just before midnight, like 10 or 11 o'clock. Notice how all of a sudden, this is around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, we've got a strong north wind, temperatures coming down fast, and that temp will continue to fall as we go throughout the day Friday. One thing to watch on Friday that I also don't want to let our guard down is the fact that we're going to have lake effect snow that's ongoing with this cold air coming across the lake, all right? Lake effect snow will be ongoing tonight and tomorrow up in Michigan. Won't be a problem for us here in the region, but as we get into tomorrow night and Friday, that's when that wind shift comes in. So those bands will go from east to west, and they'll start to churn. And so I do expect some lake effect snow to start to work its way into Berrien County, out towards South Bend and St. Joe County, and then eventually into LaPorte County. And it may make the shift all the way into Porter County. This isn't going to be a mega band of snow or anything like that, but it's a persistent snow shower activity coming off the lake. And I wouldn't be surprised if we had some lake effect snow in Porter and LaPorte counties as we go into Friday during the day, okay? Outside of that, it's going to be frigid cold, coldest air of the year so far, and we thought we just did that earlier this week. And you see at the end of this run here, here's our high run. These are our high-res solutions that we've got coming in. At the end of it, we're starting to see the start of that storm system out towards the west, okay? Briefly, just want to show you how much snow. Not a lot between here and Friday afternoon. Lake effect we'll have to keep an eye on. If you have plans up towards lower Michigan, we've got obviously the snow coming off Grand Rapids, Holland, up towards areas to the north. We're going to be dealing with snow. Marquette getting a lot of snow out of that, okay? And eventually we'll see that band shift south, okay? So that's what we've got there. And then cold, last thing I want to cover here, look at these temps coming down. So here's that cool spell coming in tonight and tomorrow. You'll wake up, it'll be in the teens tomorrow. We'll probably hold in the teens throughout the morning, and then we'll rise into the low to mid-20s tomorrow afternoon. Remember, wind is calm, not bad tomorrow afternoon. And then an Arctic front hits, boom, there you go. So we go from 8 o'clock at night, we're sitting around 20 still, and then there you go. By morning, we're talking temperatures around -2, -3. I mean, this is some seriously cold air working in. Wind chill values, I think, will go between -15 and -30. All right, we have a graphic a couple nights ago that has the timeline on that. Nothing's changed in terms of those numbers. Pretty intense cold coming in, and will stay likely below zero for much of the day Friday. May bounce back a little bit as we go into Friday night and Saturday, and that's because that moisture and that storm system's coming in. So this envelope of Arctic air doesn't last forever because we have that push coming back, okay? So that's what we've got. All right, let's dive into the winter storm. Here's what we have right now. And just to kind of educate everyone, you guys know I like to educate as well. When we show models, typically I show the deterministic model, and that's what most meteorologists will use. It's called the deterministic model, all right? And there's a deterministic for the Euro, for the GFS, for the GEM, for all the models that there are, there's a deterministic run. And what that is, that's one solution. That's like the best solution all the model can come up with, but it's one solution. If that solution's wrong, then obviously the model's wrong, right? Well, these same models are running ensembles during the day as well. And what these ensembles do, I mean, there's 30 different model systems out there. There's just, I want everyone to understand how much information meteorologists have at our disposal. A lot of this is at the disposal of social media now, so there's a lot of people that are getting a hold of it that probably shouldn't have all this information. And what you're seeing on social media from a lot of folks, not all of them, there are some really good forecasters out there on social, but what you're seeing from a lot of them, when you see a post with a ton of snow on it, is they're grabbing one solution either from the ensemble or perhaps the deterministic when it's 10 days out, and they're posting that. And then everyone comes to meteorologists and says, why were you wrong? And it's like, well, we weren't talking about that. You saw that somewhere on social. So just be real careful with what you're seeing out there. In terms of the ensembles, between all of them, it gives us about 150 outcomes of what's going to happen, all right? That's a lot to choose from. And we as meteorologists are supposed to narrow that down into one single forecast. That is the data at our disposal. Now, most meteorologists, and myself included, I don't go through all 150 of them. What I do look at, though, and what I weigh heavily on is what the ensembles are saying. So is there a trend in the ensemble data that is much lower than what the deterministic's showing? Then that means the deterministic's a little bit too high, and that's the one I always show you, right? So I just want you to know all those thoughts are going into this when I give you a forecast. I'm not just a meteorologist who's just throwing a deterministic model out there and taking it for truth, all right? I question everything I see, and I won't show you something if I don't think it's going to happen, all right? Or I'll tell you what I think is going to happen versus that. So I just want you to have that background information. A lot of sites and people aren't going to give that to you, okay? All right, so let's dive through time. Here we go. Friday, cold air spills in. We know cold air is in place, goes all the way down towards Tennessee. All right, here comes our area of low pressure, now developing back down towards Texas. Ice storm develops, Dallas off towards the north, OKC, Red River Valley, going to get some good ice from this. And by good ice, I mean bad ice. Snow starts to break out on the northern end. Here it comes. All right, this is Saturday now. Saturday, snow starts to move in. This will likely come in waves. Now, when we look at models, they tend to show a solid block. And I've gone through this, I think, every snowstorm we've had. They tend to show a big, solid blob of snow moving through. That's not how it works, all right? There's not going to be a giant solid blob, especially on the northern end. It's going to be kind of patchy where you get snow showers and it backs off and it kind of ebbs and flows a little bit. There will be breaks in the action throughout this entire storm system. It's not going to be this solid block of moisture, okay? There will be areas where dry air gets in or areas where it's just not raining or snowing as heavy or the ice storm isn't as heavy. So take that as note when you're looking at this as well, right? This isn't going to be a big blob. This just shows where the best chance for snow is and heavy snow at that, okay? So one thing to watch initially here is that lake effect snow band. Friday, I mentioned it's going to move into Porter and LaPorte counties more than likely. Well, with the pull of this system, with the low pressure starting to pull in, we'll develop more of an easterly wind or a northeasterly wind. So that lake effect snow band may swing through Porter and even Lake County and even northern Newton and Jasper County as we go into Saturday. All right. I wouldn't be surprised if you watch that lake band. It shouldn't be huge, but we should have some snow with it. I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of moves through the lakeshore and actually goes from east to west. So I do think we're going to get a little snow along the lakeshore earlier in the day Saturday before the system arrives. That's the winds shifting, right? And then the snow moves in. All right, here's the latest track. Okay, this is the 18Z. And notice how that low pressure really gets going. Heavy snow downstate, Indy down towards Evansville. It becomes ice once you get towards the Louisville area. Nashville's a mix of ice and some rain. And then you've got this major ice storm still going down towards Arkansas and Mississippi. But here's the heaviest snow, all right? This is called the trowel region. It's basically a trough of low pressure that develops where you get that band of the heaviest snow. This is the sweet spot, always close to the low and right where that rain or ice changes over to snow. So this is the real heavy stuff down here, okay? This is where you get some thunder snow mixed in. This is where you have, 2-3 inches per hour, at least the potential for it. That's the big heavy part that you see moving on the winter storm. And then we get progressively lighter as you get off towards the north, but you can get some pockets of some good snow off towards the north as well. Again, there will likely be breaks in it. But notice the bulk of the storm. This is now Saturday night into Sunday. Notice the real heavy stuff stays away from us, okay? I've been asked on social multiple times today if I think there's going to be another northward track. Because remember on Sunday, this thing was down in Tennessee, and we had mentioned on our broadcasts on Sunday evenings, which we always do at 5 o'clock Central Time, we mentioned that these storms tend to correct north, and we need to keep an eye on it, even though it was hundreds of miles away. And sure enough, Monday morning came in just a little bit further north. By Tuesday morning, it was full-blown north, and we were getting some snow out of it. The track hasn't changed much, and I don't anticipate it changing much more, all right? We'll see. It's Wednesday. This is a Saturday, late Saturday and a Sunday event, so we still have some time. But I think it's done that northward correction now. And really, there's two waves of low pressure with this as well. There's one that's going to develop out towards the east, and then this one here. And so we'll have to see which one kind of battles, because oftentimes there's an East Coast energy transfer that takes place with this, where you have this strong low here, but once the storm gets out over the Gulf Stream, where you have real warm water off in the Atlantic, that will form a deeper low, which kind of sucks this moisture in. And so all this stuff's at play. But for the most part, it looks like the worst of the storm is going to be down to the south. Okay, we continue to think that. That has not changed. We're still going to get some snow out of it, though. And then you can see as we go on into Sunday, we're still snowing. We've got lake-enhanced snow, likely targeting Chicago, maybe north towards Waukegan. And then as we go into Sunday night, that lake band may come back at us with some lingering snow. By this time, cold air is coming back into the system. We've got frigid air coming back across the lake, and we'll have a gusty north wind kind of blowing this fluffy snow around. And then eventually that lake snow moves out, system does as well, okay? GFS, let me show you that deterministic. GFS is coming in. If you like snow, it's like a wah, wah, wah kind of forecast model. Look at this. It keeps all of it down to the south, brings a few snow showers through here. That's it on Sunday, okay? GFS is definitely not happy about the snow, and it's very, very heavy on the freezing rain. I don't like the GFS anyway. I never have, okay? So there's that. Here's the GEM, or the Canadian deterministic model. It's pretty much in line with the Euro. It has a little difference here with this first wave that moves through, catch a break, and then the second stronger wave of energy comes with a very strong jet stream, which all the models are predicting. They just evolve it differently. And the GEM, if you like snow, brings the real heavy stuff even closer to us, where we get a real good snow around here on Sunday, okay, like all day. And then eventually we get, the lake effect on the back side of it. All right. I do want to show you real quick, though, the European ensemble. Okay, so what this does is this takes into effect everything that we know about all the different models that are run through the Euro, which is over 50. And what it's going to do is it's going to give us our best shot at what it thinks is going to happen. Okay, so what I'm going to show you here is the blend of all 51 of those runs. There you go. All right, that's through Monday. That's not a lot of snow. All right, that's 2 to 4 inches, and then it's got a sweet spot of 9 to 10. When you look at this, you'd say, oh man, the averages are really low, so why is the deterministic so high? Well, that's because our snow ratio matters, and we're going to have cold air in place, likely staying in the 20s throughout this. So as a result, what we're looking at here is a 10-to-1 ratio in terms of snow. That's typical, so that if you get, 0.3 inches of liquid or rain, then that would translate to 3 inches of snow. That's just how it works, 3 to 3, like 0.30 to 3. When you have colder air in place, the snow is fluffier. And so you can turn that 3 inches into 7 or 8 inches pretty easily by changing that snow ratio, all right? And so as a result, this is a 10-to-1 ratio. I don't think we're going to have 10-to-1 ratio snow, all right, for all of our meteorology geeks out there. I think we'll be somewhere in the 15-to-1, maybe 17-to-1 range. We'll see as the low gets closer, might go maybe 12-to-1. But either way, that means this total you can kind of throw out the window because we're going to be higher than that. So we can add a couple inches to this as we go into the forecast. And so all that has been considered. So I'm going to go back to the Euro. I'll show you some of the snow totals coming in at this range. Again, it's a little early to be talking totals, but I'd be happy to do it with you. And notice how this is 24-hour. I don't want to show you that. I want to show you this one. This is kind of what the Euro's thinking right now. All right. Lake effect going crazy over the next couple of days, and then it shifts into LaPorte County. And then notice how we've got this narrow band of 10 to 12, maybe higher, some isolated amounts that get to 1.5 feet, okay, down towards the south where that trowel is, where that really heavy stuff is. And then here in northwest Indiana, we're talking a general 2 to 4, 3 to 6 as of right now. All right, if this thing shifts north 20 miles, we're now in the 4 to 8 inch range. If it shifts south 20 miles, like GFS is kind of thinking, then we would have much less than that. Either way, the impacts are going to be there. I do think we get snow out of this. Do I think it's going to be the heaviest in the entire system? I don't. I think that'll be down to the south, but we're looking at a pretty decent shovelable snow here in northwest Indiana. Now, the timing on this, as we go through time, we're looking at Saturday afternoon. I think we may have that lake effect snow band Saturday morning through the early afternoon that we're watching. And then eventually we get that snow that starts Saturday afternoon. It'll likely start on the light side. And then does it pick up in intensity Saturday night and Sunday? That all depends on the track of that low and the strength of that moisture on the north side. But I do think we start to get snow around here Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. And then Sunday would just be a snowy day. All right, it would be snowy around here. Big travel impacts, especially if you're heading south. But keep an eye on this, all right? We'll do another live broadcast tomorrow. That is going to change. I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. But overall, you know, this could shift north, and that would change our local forecast here. The wind with the system isn't going to be out of control. It's not a real deep low. So I'm not expecting a ton of blowing and drifting snow out of this. But overall, we are going to have some gusty winds around, especially on the back side of that. Once it heads by, we'll have a gusty north wind bringing in colder air with that. But that's what we're looking at in terms of snow accumulations on the Euro. I'll show you the others briefly. Here's the GFS. Remember, GFS hates us. It doesn't like snow at all. It's got huge totals down in the south and then not much anywhere else. I would rule out the GFS right now. Here's the Canadian model. Canadian model sometimes off. It tends to overdo the snow. So again, this is what it's showing, anywhere from 8 to 11 inches here in northwest Indiana. Okay, says the GEM. I like the Euro right now. I like this spread. I like how there's kind of a sharper cutoff to the north where we don't get quite as much on the northern side of this versus the GFS is kind of patchy. But overall, that's what we're looking at. So this storm is going to be capable of an 8 to 14 incher in that main zone, maybe 1.5 feet in that main zone, which stays well to our south, where that main heavy zone is of snow that works north along that low. But on the northern side of it, plenty moisture available. We'll have a decent snowfall ratio. I think we could get some good snow out of this. And again, time frame on that is going to be late Saturday. Things will start to go downhill Saturday night, and then Sunday would just be a snowy day all across northwest Indiana. So that's it. All right, so go ahead. If you guys have questions, I know you do. I've gotten a lot of social media messages. I can't really keep up with them tonight. That's why I decided to do a broadcast. I'd be happy to answer your questions for you and put your mind at ease, all right? Also of note, regionweather.com, we have your daily email updates. A lot of you have signed up for that over the last couple weeks with these events. Again, regionweather.com on the top-hand side of the screen. Sign up for daily emails. It's just me. It's not an AI bot. I'll type the email in. I make a pretty picture. I'll send it to you. And we've been updating our email subscribers on this winter storm. So you have that information first. It's free. I don't sell your information. It's there for you. It's a nice spot to be able to get information out to the group of people here in the region that, you know, care about the weather every single day. And I promise I don't spam it or go crazy on it. Just don't have enough time for that. So there's that. All right. Also, we're on the radio side of things. X-Rock 103.9, Indiana 105.5, Z107.1. And finally, we have one more sponsor opening for the month of February. If you have a business you would like to sponsor, we'd love to work with you. You have to be local here in Northwest Indiana, though. We don't do national stuff. So just reach out to me. It's either contactregionweather@gmail.com, or you can private message us if you want. Send a direct message on our Facebook page. That's totally fine. We'll get back to you, okay? All right, let's answer your questions, shall we? Let's see what we've got here. Let's see. We start in Carolinas. How about this? Logan says, do you think we can get another shift to the south overnight? You're in Burnsville, North Carolina. Would love to see a big snow. Now, that's interesting. Logan, I have a feeling that you're going to be out of that snow. I think it's going to be mainly an ice issue. For the Carolinas, you've got that. It's called cold air damming, where you get a high pressure off towards the eastern half of the U.S. It brings cold air, funnels it down the Appalachian Mountains all the way down towards Atlanta. And boy, that cold air sticks around and it stays by the surface so that when moisture gets thrown in, there's a lot of freezing rain potential in the Carolinas down towards North Georgia. And as a result, I have a feeling that's going to be the case with this one, Logan. There's a chance it could shift south. I don't really see that happening at this point. I think it's done its northward shift, and I have a feeling it's going to stay there. So there's that. JP reminds us all that we are not done. He says February and even March can bring big storms. Absolutely. We typically don't get monster snowstorms like this in January because the Gulf is usually shut off with all the cold air. Last couple of seasons, it obviously hasn't been. We've been milder, but this is a decent storm for January. It really is. We've had some big ones in January before, don't get me wrong, but it's February, March that we start to throw moisture in these systems. And yeah, we can get some big ones for sure. Let's see, John, being sarcastic, says, so 1 to 20 inches, hit or miss in Lake County. Yes, John, thanks for joining us tonight. No, that's not the case. You're not going to get 20 inches. I would say 1 to 19 is a good ratio for you in Lake County. Chris, it didn't shift much more north here in the latest runs. It's pretty much where it's settled over the last day and a half or so. There's been a slightward jog north, but we haven't seen too much of a change in terms of that. Honor says, can't the temps make the snowflake dynamic change so that the accumulation might be less because it's fine snow? Yeah, so Honor, that happens typically when you get in the 10-degree range. You can get some really fine powdery snow. When you get below zero, especially, the colder it gets, the less moisture that air can hold. All right, that's why we get dry skin this time of year. That's why you need a humidifier in your house this time of year, is because cold air doesn't hold moisture. There's just not enough moisture, and it's very, very dry. You're zapping yourself on everything. Whereas the warmer it gets, once we get up towards 20, 25, 30 degrees, we get more moisture in the snow. That's where you start to get the heavier wet snow. And that's what we see with some of the March and February snowstorms when we actually have temps in the 30s and heavy snow falling. You get that heavy wet snow. So yes, if it gets too cold, which I don't anticipate it doing, Honor, you can get that real fine powdery snow that doesn't add up to much. I think these will be efficient flakes, though, with this entire system. Robert says, can the low be strong enough to push back the high? So that, and we mentioned that on Sunday, our broadcast, Robert, is the fact that, it's not just this low we're tracking the strength of the high that's coming south, all right? And that high pressure isn't coming quite as far south. Models tend to overdo the strength of the cold air getting into the country. And so as a result, that's one of the reasons why I expected kind of that northward shift. And that's why we got it, is because that high pressure is not quite as strong as it typically is coming in, at least on the modeling. And so you're right. Yeah, lows, high pressures tend to rule, all right, versus lows. High pressures kind of dictate where things go. You can get blocking highs in the summertime that bring a big drought, which we've seen in previous years. High pressures, again, tend to rule it. The low pressures that tend to rule the atmosphere are tropical systems like hurricanes, tropical storms, because they're deep and everything kind of has to wait for those to move where they're going to move before everything can get moving again. But in this case, it's the high pressure kind of dictating where the low is going to go. Kevin, you're welcome. I see your Bears comment. We'll come on that next winter storm. So there's that. That's awesome. Mason Baker asking about Columbus, Ohio, getting 8 to 12 inches. Mason, absolutely. Columbus, I think, is going to be in the heart of this. I think much of Ohio is going to be in the meat and potatoes of the storm system. Right now, some of the modeling takes it further south, down towards Athens, the Hocking Hills area, Portsmouth, Cincinnati, over towards Pittsburgh. That's kind of the bullseye right now. Even Charleston, areas of West Virginia, going to get hit hard. But again, I think Columbus is going to get a good solid 8 to 10 for this, at least. We'll see. We'll see where that track goes. That's awesome. Kayla says, I want to be able to sled off rooftops like in Russia currently. They have a lot of snow in portions of Russia right now. So there's that. Maxwell, yeah, I posted that on my personal page. The fact that it was 5 o'clock and it wasn't pitch black outside. Spring is on the way. I think someone posted 57 days, something like that. So there's that. That's awesome. Yeah, Frank's going to go ice fishing in his new Grieger's Ram truck. Nice. That's awesome, Frank. I think give it a little bit of time for this Arctic air, but we've got some really good ice fishing ahead. The lakes are freezing over very fast, not completely. Lake Erie may freeze over completely, but Lake Michigan's icing up pretty quickly as well. We're really going to see that ice on ponds and area lakes really thicken up here over this next cold air mass that comes in Friday, Saturday. So I think by Sunday we'll be golden. Just be careful out there. Always make sure you test the ice and make sure you stay safe on that. Renee, 1 to 19. Yes, for sure. Love the sarcasm, everybody. No one said 1 to 19 inches. Anyway, Renee's commenting on my comment. There are so many people. It's interesting because when you post, I posted something about this winter storm on Monday on my personal page, and it's now reached the far reaches of the internet. And I can tell once it hits this wall where you get out of the family sector, like Region Weather, I feel like we're family. All right, I would trust. I don't know if I trust all of you. I would trust a lot of you with my children, and I just feel like it's a family gathering together every time we do a broadcast. And that's the same way on my personal page with the folks that I do TV for, right? But once something on the internet gets beyond that, it's like this unknown mad world where people are just rude. And I'm not saying, that some of our local folks aren't rude, although you guys are very nice to me compared to some meteorologists, what they get. I appreciate that. I'd like to return the favor to you. But either way, once you get in the far reaches of the internet where they don't know who you are, they don't know your story, they just see a map, they don't even read what you took time to write. People are just rude, and I've gotten so many rude comments the last couple of days. And again, I have thick skin because I've been in this long enough. I don't care. Like, honestly, I don't care. But it's just, there's such a rude world out there and so I just want to make sure everyone that's on this chat here, that you are behaving on social media. And I don't care about with me, but with others, that we're just treating each other with kindness, because it's ridiculous. I took time out of my family schedule and my kids to make a map and put, hey, there's going to be a big winter storm across the country. Here's what we're looking at now. Too soon to tell totals and impacts. And people are on there like, well, why'd you post? Why are you even telling me this? Like, so you're saying 1 to 99, someone said, and there's some that are funny, but some are just downright rude. And someone said I'm the most overhyped meteorologist they've met. And I'm like, I'm just telling you about a winter storm, like 10 days ahead of time. So I know you guys are good for that, but I just want you to know the life of a meteorologist, it gets crazy this time of year, because they're just, once you get beyond a certain reach of your family, of folks that you forecast for, it gets ugly out there. It really does. So be kind to other people out there as well. Derek asking a great question. Doesn't the salt work less when temperature is well below? Absolutely, Derek. Salt becomes not effective. Well, it's semi-effective, but it's not nearly as effective once you get below 15. Once you get below 10, it's I don't want to say useless, but it's not working very well. And once you get below 0, like this air that's coming in Thursday night into Friday, that salt's not going to do a whole lot in terms of your sidewalk and on the roads and stuff like that. It's kind of like just go be with the Lord in terms of the roads, all right, with that snow. So that's another reason why, and that's a great point. I didn't think about that, but that's another reason why we've got to watch and take that lake effect ban, even though it's not going to be particularly heavy. We've got to watch that because that could cause problems with salt not being effective. There are other chemicals they use. I do the Weather Education Day every year at Progressive Field in Cleveland with the Guardians. I put that on for all the kids, and I always have the road crew out. It's ODOT in Ohio. I always have ODOT out, and they share the coolest stuff about all the different chemicals they use on the road based on different temperatures. You've heard it before, like beet juice is used. They have a combination of beet juice and brine that they use to put on the roads, which is more effective. It helps the salt stick before an event. And there are chemicals that they use that when temperatures get that low that will still work, just not as effective as salt. That's it. So that's that. Let's see. Maxwell, yeah, this winter has been cold and snowy. Again, it was just a guess. I mean, we had all the signals for it, but yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Brent, I appreciate that. Yeah, there's so much overhyping on the internet right now. And let me just put this straight. We're going to get through this storm. This is not a blockbuster storm. To me, what's amazing with this snowstorm and ice storm is just how big it is. It takes up so much real estate across the country where you've got areas. Let me zoom out and just show this to you. I mean, that's what's huge about it to me is the real estate. Look at all these spots that get upwards of a foot of snow. Anything in this brighter pink is a foot. I mean, we're talking heavy snow in Kansas, Oklahoma, even Colorado from the storm system, stretching all the way up into the greater areas of Northeast, the metropolis areas, New York City, Boston, down towards Jersey, up into the mountains, white and green mountains in Vermont. New York State going to get hammered by this. I mean, this is just a big, impactful storm. And as a result, think about it. I mean, we've got obviously shipping across the country that's going to be at a standstill. Flights are going to be backed up as well, especially if the metropolises get this, which it looks like they're going to. This is just going to be a very impactful storm. no hype for it locally. I mean, it's going to be a storm for us, but we can handle it. We can handle 4 to 8 inches. We can handle 2 to 4, depending on what we get. But either way, it's going to be a very impactful storm for a lot of folks. And there's a ton of ice with this as well. And that ice is not fun. This is where your ice potential is. These darker shades of pink and magenta, that's where that ice is heavy enough to bring down power lines and trees. I mean, this is a mess. All right. And that ice does not melt off in the south with any road crews because they don't have road crews to take care of it. So big deal for folks, down in Arkansas, Mississippi, depending on how this shakes out. I think Tennessee's going to get hit hard from this as well. And there you go. In the Carolinas as well, you get that cold air that settles into the Appalachians. So kind of messy for there as well. Wendy, I do think we'll be able to go sledding from this. Yeah, I think we'll get enough to go sledding. So there's that. Ashley, good question. I'm glad you brought this up. A lot of people have asked this question. Monday's travel in Northwest Indiana. I do think Monday is going to be impacted by this. Is it going to be enough to cancel schools? We don't know that yet, but we're going to get enough snow, I think, and just kind of in an area-wide state. So it's not just lake effect where, INDOT clears up a little county, but rather they're clearing the entire state, and Illinois is clearing their entire state. I think it's going to be a big enough of a problem that we are going to have impacts Monday morning. All right. We'll see what happens from there. Yeah, you're welcome, Mariana, for sure. Patsy says that's okay. Okay, Patsy. Listen, the kids, she says, so 6-7 inches. The kids are not saying that anymore. I asked my kids, I said, are they still doing 6-7? And it was, I guess, some Congress guy got a hold of it, and he did it in Congress. And they're like, well, an old guy did it, and so we're done. And so the kids are done doing that now. I'm very thankful for that. So us as adults, it's our turn to take over and embarrass them. And they're like, Dad, no one's doing that. So there's that. Brent, great question. Brent, I did get your message earlier. In terms of the Cleveland area, I don't think 12 plus yet. Right now, our range in Cleveland's anywhere from 6 to 12. It depends on where, again, that low goes. It's a little bit more crucial for heavy snow in Ohio, depending on that range. But I would probably go 6 to 12 for right now in the Cleveland area. I don't know about 12 plus yet. There's not going to be a lot of lake effect on the initial end of this either. So it's going to be basically system snow in Cleveland. I'll keep you updated on that for sure, though. Okay. They still do, Shayna. All right. Yeah, maybe it's our kids. I don't know. Too cool for school over here, I guess. Mariana, that's a great question. So I've gotten this one on social as well. Do I think school will be canceled Friday due to temps? I do. And a lot of people are like, oh, the kids are soft nowadays. They're not. Our wind chill chart has changed. It changed back, it was early 2000s, I think. Either way, I think it'll be canceled. I do. And it's up to the superintendents. It's not my decision. But our wind chill value is going to be minus 20, minus 30 degree range. That's not nice for kids that have to wait out for the bus, stuff like that. Okay. So I do think we'll have an e-learning day on Friday, at least in my opinion. Again, it's up to your school superintendent. We may have another one on Monday, depending on how much snow we get. I see this being a widespread snow, which is tough to clear up everywhere. And we've got cold air on the backside of it. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Brent, you're welcome, buddy. Maxwell says thunder snow reported 2 hours ago in Iowa. Maxwell, I saw that. That's with those squalls moving in, which we covered top of the broadcast. These right here, again, these are putting down some snow in a hurry, and this is for this evening, all right, into the overnight. We're going to get a brief burst of squalls that move through. Not everyone's going to see the snow squall. They're going to remain scattered kind of like they are. Right now, it looks like it's kind of forming into a band that would target like Newton and Jasper County with some on and off squalls briefly in Lake Porter and LaPorte County. We'll see if that holds, but we do have some snow coming in this evening. Not a lot from it, but it is going to cause some problems this evening, okay? All right, yeah, Shayna, it does. It's awful in that kind of weather for sure. Debbie, driving to Midway Friday morning. Yes, you'll be fine Friday morning, Debbie. There will be some lake effect snow on going out towards the east, but you'll be fine Friday morning. It's going to be getting very, very cold Friday morning, though, Debbie. All right, we may have a little burst of snow that moves through with that front sometime Thursday night into early Friday morning, but we shouldn't have a lot of snow at that point. It's just going to be windy and cold. That's when the wind chills are coming down minus 10, minus 20 during that time frame and continuing to go down throughout the day. So real cold then, okay? All right, I think that's all I got. Rich is asking what the trophies are in the back. Those, my wife is an interior designer, and she will not let me put my Emmy Awards anywhere else. She's like, can you keep those in a box in the basement? I said, no, I don't care about awards. I'm grateful for them. But I said, I think that's a good background instead of a plant. We've got Emmy Awards. So these are the Emmys. I got 3 of them so far. And again, I'm not about awards. It's great to be recognized by your peers, but I do think they look nice in the background. So there's that. So thanks, Rich. They're not like bowling trophies or anything like that. I could only wish. All right, guys, we're going to let you go. Thank you for joining. We will do this again tomorrow night just to see if anything changed. Obviously, the main point of these, I want to answer your questions. I know I've had a lot of people asking me on social different things about different spots and all that. And I appreciate that. That's total fine. I'm here to help. Again, grateful to serve. That's what I do for you. But if you guys need anything, just shoot a message in Facebook chat if you need. Outside of that, we'll join you again tomorrow night, and we'll keep tabs on this. Get some popcorn. It's going to be a fun educational ride here as we watch the snowstorm progress here and start to develop over the next couple days. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for spending time with me tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow.